What's that, Oberon? You don't know how to read your new friend? Don't know what their true intentions are? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about that because I have a few friends who sit at a big business table and make some really significant decisions. And those decisions are often based on their ability to read people, whether they think that the person's going to do a good deal with them, really do the job that they say they're going to do, honor the agreement or not. And so my friend was saying to me, I have a couple who were saying it would be so helpful to have some pointers on how to read them. So stay tuned and we'll get right to it. Hi, I'm Kaylin, and this is my buddy Oberon. And as you can see, Oberon here has a new friend, a new owl friend. And, you know, maybe down below in the comments you could suggest a name for our new friend, because right now our new friend is nameless. I am the co-founder of Living in the Flow. I also have a marketing firm, and I love helping entrepreneurs make growing their business easy. And that's part of our focus today. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about the 3 ways you can really start to get an idea as to whether or not someone's really going to honor what they're saying that they're going to do. So the first thing that you really want to look for is a charge, an emotional charge in them. And we're going to talk about that a little more in this video. The second thing that you're going to want to really look for and look at is you want to remove projections. Your projections and their projections, because when you remove the projections, you'll be able to see what's really there. And we'll either talk about that in this video or we'll make another video for you. And then third, you really want to look at what it is that they are really desiring, what it is that their real, sort of driving motivation is. Because when their driving motivation is larger than any hesitations that they have, if you can tap into that driving motivation, you'll be able to make your deals successful. So let's start with the first thing, looking at the emotional charges. What's that? Oh, Oberon says that he thinks I should tell you what an emotional charge is. Well, an emotional charge is a place where our energy is really out of the flow. What I mean by that is it's a place where we have an issue of some sort. We're really not in the flow, but we're rather at odds. And we're holding back or we're stuck in some way. For example, if my buddy here, Oberon, who represents clarity and wisdom and great vision, all of a sudden was in an emotional charge about having a new friend. And if Oberon didn't know what to make of his new friend, then he might lose some of his clarity, some of that wisdom. And let's say he tapped into a belief that strangers, new people, they shouldn't be trusted. You should always approach new people from a place of distrust. Well, that would really put Oberon in an emotional charge. The charge is the belief, and there's a reason for the belief. Maybe Oberon really got hurt in the past by someone he didn't know. And the lesson learned, he thought, was don't trust strangers. However, that's not really a lesson learned. That is a charge getting put in place. So that now he has a charge, and every time he meets someone new, instead of being wise and having that great vision, he's cautious and closed. And one of the things that really will affect Oberon's behavior is how significant this charge is. Now, if it had only happened once and it was no big deal, Oberon might not care. He might have even forgotten. On the other hand, sometimes we get hurt over and over, or we're hurt really, really bad. And if Oberon had been hurt really bad, he might really just clam up anytime there's someone new in the room that he hasn't met. Can you imagine clamming up every time there's someone new in the room? You wouldn't be able to walk into any rooms with more than a few people. No more parties, no more big meetings, no more restaurants, right? You get the idea, and you can see, hopefully, how that would be very limiting. Now, given that, you are hopefully beginning to really get a good sense that when someone has emotional charges, enough that they carry it on their sleeve, as the cliche goes, well, you kind of get a sense that those things are leading their lives and those limitations are leading their lives. So when you're at that negotiating table, you want to listen for the charges. The charges are going to sound like places where people irritate easily, or where they have extremely strong opinions, or just heavy opinions, depending on the degree of the charge. Of course, the heavier the opinion, the heavier charge. So if you come to the table, of course, and you meet someone, for example, who says something racist, like all people who are of a certain skin color, or all men, or all women, or everyone under 4 feet, or everyone under 6 feet, bad people, not to be trusted. You know, you will hear things like that. Or you'll hear things that are a strong cause. Everyone should stop eating meat. It's unsustainable. You know, that might be true, but there's the difference between the truth and a charge. Because just because you've had an experience, it doesn't matter whether the experience is positive or negative. If you walk away and you're holding on to it really strong, and no one should eat meat, for example, well, that's a very strong charge. And the difficulty is that that's very hard to work with. Because when someone's got a place in them that's stuck like this, and they're certain, the more certain they are, and the less they're willing to listen and be open and have a conversation that goes back and forth, that has a flow, the more you can see a red flag that that's going to be difficult to work with. Now, at the negotiating table, we can't always choose. Sometimes there are people at the table who do have some strong charges and who we have to work with anyway. So hopefully you have a chance to look to see how strong the charge is, and you can do things like tap into what some of their desire is, because sometimes that can be large enough that you can work with it. But we'll get into that in the next video, because this is getting a little long. I'm hoping that you got a really good sense of the emotional charge. That's the biggest thing you really want to look for. When it is that people instead are coming to you and coming to the negotiating table, and they are saying things like, well, here's the things we can improve, here's what I think this will do in the meeting, you know, then you get a sense that they're coming from a different place. They're not necessarily coming from such a big charge. You still want to look for those charges because they can still be there. And again, you want to have it come out in conversations. As a matter of fact, let's talk about this real quickly. You can also sometimes see emotional charges simply in the mannerisms of a person. If a person tends to be pretty happy and they tend to talk with their hands open, their energy's open, they are listening to you, they're talking in response, those are signs that someone's pretty open. When you find that someone's, you know, very hands closed, their energy's sort of hesitating, they're physically pulling back, they're pulling away from you, or they just look angry. You know, some people have enough of a charge going all the time that it takes over their physical appearance. So you can see it, you know, you see people who just look hurt, they look wounded, they look angry, they look rebellious. Those are the charges that you're really seeing. And while it may not be what comes out of their mouth, in the sense that, you know, maybe they look really happy, and generally it's something negative, not positive as we call it, but you know, let's say they look really happy, and yet they're saying that they're heartbroken about something. Well, you can get a sense that they really are heartbroken now, and that's what they're experiencing now, but generally speaking, that person's happy. Or if we flip that, if someone just looks really angry and they say they're really happy about the, you know, the meeting or about the business deal, you can recognize that they may genuinely be very happy about the agreement that you're making right then and there, but you can expect anger to come. You know, you can see that this is their general mode, and that's what you're going to be dealing with. So it's really important, because that way you kind of know who you're getting into your business bed with, kind of thing. All right, let's wrap up this, this video, and we'll move on to a second video where we will talk about removing some of those projections so that you can see more clearly, just like a wise owl. But I hope that that's given you a good idea of what to look for in an emotional charge, and to recognize that if people have big emotional charges, that's what you're going to be dealing with. So you don't want to dismiss those things. You want to look at them head on and decide how it is that you would best be able to handle them and go from there.